ready standing, go ahead and stand in the center of your mat. You can have your feet about hips distance apart and take a moment to either close the eyes or direct the gaze downward. Take a big inhale in and an exhale through the mouth. Let's do one more of those. Inhale fully. Exhale through the mouth. On your next inhale, let's sweep arms out to the sides and up, palms touching overhead. Exhale, we can bring those hands to heart center. Let the thumbs rest on the breastbone, feeling the rise and fall of the breath. And this is a great chance to set any sort of intention for class today. Maybe it's simply to be present, to return to the anchor of the breath throughout the class. I always offer to embody humility, to embody respect, and to embody an openness to whatever this practice might hold. We can soften the knees, keep the eyes closed, begin to rock gently from heel to toe. And try to notice all four corners of each foot. Our weight tends to rock more toward the outside edge, that's fine. You might come up a little higher on your toes, or maybe slow the rock. Just alter it in some intentional way. Keep breathing. And then we'll come to standing still. Eyes are still closed. We're going to shift the weight into our right foot. Come up onto the big toe of the left foot. And your first challenge of the class already, right here, is going to be to try to hover those left toes off the mat any amount. Know that it's really hard to do this with eyes closed. So if you're struggling, you're normal. Return the left foot down. We'll shift into the left foot, come up onto the big toes of the right foot. And again, think of hovering that foot up off the mat. Go ahead, return the right foot down. Open the eyes. We're going to inhale the arms all the way up. Interlace the fingers. Turn the palms face up as though you're cracking your knuckles. Draw those shoulders back while straightening the arms, but keep the tailbone anchored down so that we're not flaring out through the front side of the body. Lift the chin, look up. Take a deep inhale. Full exhale. Next inhale, we might even rise up onto the toes. Create as much space as you can through the body by reaching through the palms. Exhale here. Inhale once more. Exhale, lower the heels, bring hands to heart center. We can step to the front edge of the mat. And from here, we're going to bring palms back up, but interlace fingers the awkward way this time. Should feel a little uncomfortable. Again, turn palms to face the sky, but step big toes to be touching. Create length, and then exhale to the right, hips go to the left. Breathe into the left side body. Inhale, come all the way up through center. Exhale the other direction. Inhale up through center. Exhale, we're going to soften the knees, fold down. Fingertips on the mat, slide the right foot back, lower that knee, inhale, chest, chin up. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Now this is our first down dog of class, so use this to take some time and just find movement, maybe bicycling the heels, maybe swaying the hips side to side, maybe bending the knees deeply and pressing that torso back. Let's be here for 2 more full cycles of breath. And at the bottom of your next exhale, we're going to rock forward to plank. Lower the knees, chest and chin, Ashtangasana. Inhale, tuck that tail, ground the pelvis, pull the heart through, shoulders drawn away from the ears and toward each other on the back, elbows bent. Exhale, release. Inhale, whether by knees or through push-up, press up and back, downward facing dog. The right foot will step forward as we lower the left knee. Inhale, chest, chin up. Exhale, left foot forward, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale those hands to heart center. Inhale the arms back up, step the big toes to touch. This time we're going to turn both palms face forward, but hold the left thumb in a fist and grab around that wrist with the right fingers. Exhale, pull to the right. Inhale up through center, switch the grip. Exhale, pull to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale, soften those knees, fold all the way down. Fingertips on the mat, left foot steps back. Lower that knee, inhale, chest, chin up. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Our second time here, again, movement might still feel good in the body, so please honor that if so. If you want to find some stillness, then I encourage you to think of that posterior chain of engagement. Think of lifting the sit bones up toward the sky, drawing shoulder blades toward each other on the back. Think of straightening the hamstrings any amount. So that often looks like bending the knees to lift the hips and then letting the heels fall toward the mat any amount. Not holding any attachment to outcome or expectation. 2 more breaths here, wherever you are. And at the bottom of your next exhale, again, we'll rock forward to plank, lower knees, chest, chin. Inhale, snake through, cobra pose. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, we lower the right knee to inhale, chest, chin up. And exhale, both feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale those hands to heart center. Give yourself just a moment here to reset. After our sun salutations, we're going to move into our first work set of class. We'll start by stepping the feet hips distance apart and bring the hands to the hips. So thumbs are on either side of sacrum, which is that nice flat bone at the base of the spine. And we'll enter into our first standing back bend. So start by pressing into the feet, lifting the kneecaps, firming up through the thighs. Think of drawing sit bones toward each other. Tailbone anchors down, navel draws in, shoulders draw toward each other on the back. And as you press the hips forward, you might then inhale to lift the chin. Keep your legs strong. Think of space between each of the vertebrae. If at all you feel this as a pinching in the low back, ease out of it and re-engage, only going to a depth where you don't feel pain. Sensation is okay, pain is not. 1 more breath here. On an inhale, inflate the body, come back to standing up. Bring the arms out to the sides and up. And exhale, soften those knees. We're gonna fold all the way down. Now your first forward fold, maybe of the day, is going to be a little more intense probably. So you have the option to grab peace fingers around the insides of the big toes, pulling against them to lengthen the spine before exhaling to hinge forward. You also have the option to grab opposite elbows and maybe let the torso sway or bounce a little bit. You can always walk the hands side to side, bringing the stretch into the outer hips. Whatever feels best in your body in this moment. Wherever you are, allow the head to be heavy. You might shake it side to side or yes or no. Notice the breath on inhales expanding through the rib cage. Notice the space that's created as you exhale. Maybe an opportunity to move into that space. Not pushing, but always allowing the body to continue to evolve into the pose as we're here. One more breath. On an inhale, let's lengthen the spine, look forward. Release the bind if you have any. Rise all the way up to standing, arms out to the sides and up. Exhale those hands to heart center. And today we're going to play with some really active leg work. So if you're near a wall and you need to step toward the center of the mat, you might do so. But we're going to shift the weight into the right foot, just as we did with eyes closed. But this time, lift the left knee in line with the hip. On an exhale, we're going to straighten that leg any amount, and then inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Last one, exhale, straighten. Now, inhale, lower that foot almost to the mat. Inhale here. We're going to exhale, lift all the way up as much as you can. Oh yeah, this is hard. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Last one, we're going to hold. Exhale, lift. Hold, or maybe even pulse upward for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend that knee, bend the right knee. Send left heel toward left sit bone. Our upward bird pose here. Chest is upright. Right knee can bend as much as you desire. Option to stay hands at heart, to bring hands to hips, or maybe even to grab that back ankle. Again, listen to your body as you make this decision. Wherever you are, think of drawing heel towards sit bone and also lifting that left knee. Really actively stretching out the hip flexor that we just worked in those leg lifts. Hold for 3, 2, 1. We're going to slowly release, bring the left knee back up. Your right leg is like, holy cow, what are we doing here? We're almost done, I promise. Okay, now here's a really weird movement we're going to do. Grab peace fingers around the inside edge of the big toe. Right hand can come to right hip. Straighten this leg any amount. Do not worry about how straight it gets. Really, we just need the force of foot pushing into hand, hand pulling against foot. And we're going to lower. We're going to keep lowering. You might bring your hand to the mat to guide you. See if you can sink the hips without setting quite down. Oh, it's hard. Lower those hips. Whew. Let's take a moment with this left leg lifted. Circle out that right ankle. Hands can be either side of the hips. Yeah. Lower that right foot. Now, I have just a little more work for us to do with this left leg. So hands are planted, tented fingers outside of the hips. We're going to lower, exhale, lift. Lower, lift. Lower, lift. We've got 2 more. If your hip is burning, good job. You are a normal human. If it's not burning, then I don't know. I don't know what to say about you. All right, go ahead, lift this leg up. Grab the back side of it, straighten the right leg out, roll onto your back. Onto your back. Ah, a nice little release here. You can work the shoulder blades underneath the back, and we're just going to draw the left leg in. Keep it straight. Don't worry about how close it comes. Just think of stretching, reaching out through the heel as the toes flex back. Take a couple breaths here. We've done a lot in a row that compresses through the front side of the leg. It keeps the hip in the flexion range of motion. So in a moment, we're going to get a nice stretch. As you feel okay to do so, We're gonna rock back up to a seat. Now you can play with using this bound leg to help, where you draw it in and then as you press away, you pull against it and come to a seat. It's kind of fun. It might take you a couple tries. And once you're there, we're gonna try to stand up with keeping this leg as straight as we can. So you can lower it to the mat, give that hip a break, keep the right leg bent. Fingertips can come to the mat. As you kind of crawl forward, lifting the hips, try to keep this left leg straight. You might drag it along the mat. Come up to standing, lifting this left leg up into standing splits. A nice stretch of that hip that we just worked. It helps to have left fingertips a ways out to the side. My left arm is completely straight here, tented. Right fingertips can be out to the side where you can grab the back of the right ankle or heel. Try to tuck the chin in, lift that left leg up. Keep stretching through that hip. One more breath here. Exhale, we're gonna soften into this right leg, lower the left foot down, and crawl to the left foot until you're facing the back edge of your mat. Yeah, nice. Pretty fiery way to start class. But we're warming up the body so that we can get deeper into it. So check that your feet are on two parallel tracks, all toes point forward. And then we'll lower the right knee, inhale, chest, chin up. Exhale, straighten both legs any amount, and look back. Inhale, bend, look up. Exhale, straighten, look back. One more, inhale, bend, look up. Exhale, straighten, look back. We're gonna hold here, but we're gonna actually move it into triangle pose. So step the right foot forward a bit, shortening your stance, and then turn those toes about 45 degrees out. Now from here, you're gonna have options. Option one is gonna be to bring the torso upright. Draw left hip back, right hip forward, hands on hips. Hinge forward here. This is a great one if you ever experience low back pain or if you've had any herniated discs, keeping the rounding out of the spine. Option two is gonna be to bring the hands to either the front shin or maybe to blocks or maybe to the mat. But again, thinking of drawing the torso down. Option three is going to be to add a twist. So you plant the right fingertips inside of the left foot, scoop the left hip back, right hip forward, and then inhale this left arm out to the side and up, entering into a revolved triangle pose. Wherever you are, give yourself a few breaths to be here, to feel it. If it feels okay, you can even close the eyes, exploring the pose from the inside. One more breath. If you are revolved, slowly lower your fingertips. Wherever you are, soften into this left knee. We're gonna plant the hands, step the left foot back, plank pose. And this is where we'll move through our first full vinyasa. So you can rock forward, bend those elbows in 90 degrees, maybe stay here, maybe lower all the way. Inhale, pull that heart through and up. Exhale, potentially adding on an additional push-up. And back, downward facing dog. Give yourself a couple of breaths here, this nice familiar shape. Notice the energy of the body, the temperature of the body, how it compared to the start of class. Now on an inhale, we're gonna lift this right leg up. On an exhale, rock forward, keep the hips high, bring knee toward nose or forehead. Don't worry about touching. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. This time we're gonna exhale, Mimic that same motion of hugging the knee in as you rock forward, forward, forward. Step the right foot down. Lower the left knee. Untuck those toes. Bring right hand to right knee, left arm lifts, thumb against index fingernail, Jnana Mudra. And we're going to be head up for a moment. We've had a lot of head down postures already. Here, think of squaring the hips by pulling right heel back, left knee forward. And then from there, you can let the tailbone anchor straight down, allowing for any increase in depth. This is a great time to check in with your body. Maybe right here feels good. Maybe having hands at hips would feel good. Maybe you really want to get deeper into this quadricep, in which case you might bend the back leg up, heel towards sit bone, and work on this expression of the pose. Here for just a couple more breaths. If you're in any sort of bind or deepened shape, go ahead and release. We'll all press into the right foot a bit to ease out of this. Plant the hands, curl the left toes under. Crawl halfway to the left. Just halfway, so you're facing the long edge of your mat. Turn both sets of toes out and give yourself a moment to just bend side to side. Feeling the difference between left and right hips right now. We've spent almost one circle, but we've only been working on the left side of the body right now. The next time you're bent halfway into the left leg, right leg is straight, we're going to bring the torso upright. Hands can start at the hips. And think of drawing sit bones toward each other. It should anchor the tailbone more directly down. It should also allow this left knee to feel like it can externally rotate just a little bit more. We'll bring arms out to the sides, thumbs and fists, bend the left fist toward armpit. Look over the right fist at the back edge of your mat. This is our Dhanurasana, archer pose. You might even lift the toes of the right foot coming to balance on the heel. Wherever you are, soften those shoulders. Feel the strength here. Knowing that even when there's strength, there's probably shakiness. One more breath. Inhale, rise all the way up, reach those arms up. And on an exhale, we're going to bend as deeply into our right leg as possible. The hands can come out to the sides. They can reach out in front. We want to keep the right knee angling over the toes. So if the right knee starts to come in, lift the hips any amount. That allows the right knee to stay angled outward. Think of the pelvis melting toward the mat any amount. One more breath here, not a long hold. Inhale, press back up through center. And we're going to finish crawling all the way to the front edge of the mat, facing our left foot. Lower the right knee down. Bring both hands inside of the left foot. We're going to heel toe this left foot closer to the outer edge of your mat. And we're going to take a couple moments to just straighten on exhales and bend on inhales, rocking the pelvis as we do so. Straightening and bending. Straightening and bending. Now notice for yourself, does it feel more nourishing to your body when you're straight, working on this abducted half split, or when you're bent, working on melting the hips toward the mat? Whichever of those feels better in your body right now, I want you to find it and hold there. If you're holding with a bent leg, you can always think of lowering forearms to the mat, maybe to a block. Maybe you're resting on fists just to give your wrists a break. If you're straight, keep those toes flexed backward and think of drawing left armpit toward left knee. Now, if one of these shapes is feeling good to you, stay there. I'm going to cue us through an arm balance, one that's not super common in classes that are more mainstream. And so you might be like, yeah, that sounds fun, I want to play with it. Or you might be like, girl. And so just listen to whatever your voice is saying. If you do want to work on the arm balance, we're going to slide the left heel back a little bit until our stance is a little more shortened and square. And we're going to work this left arm underneath the left leg. So you can grab around the ankle with the hand and kind of work that left arm under any amount. And then hug the left knee in toward that arm. Keep it glued. Plant the left hand behind the left heel. Plant the right hand shoulder distance apart. Now we're going to curl the right toes under, and then we're going to lift the hips and step the right knee to the back of the right arm. So this is already a really weird shape. Your body might be like, yeah, I'm going to stay here and just kind of familiarize myself. If you want to keep going, we're going to lower the hips down. So now we're kind of finding a crow shape with the right leg and a flying sage shape with the left leg. Keep the elbows bent straight back. Keep the legs hugging into the arms. Inchworm this left foot forward any amount. From there, you might be able to lift the leg. It might just stay kind of on the mat, that's fine. Remember, trying is doing. And then if your leg is lifted, you might be able to rock forward and bring the right heel toward the sit bones. If you're here, we're gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the right foot, lower the left foot, come out of it, give your wrists a little circle. And wherever you are, plant your hands, slide the right foot back or curl the toes under, and send the left leg back and up, 3-legged down dog. Bend that heel towards sit bone and do some circles. We'll flip our dog later, but for now, we're just working into that hip. Now, straighten the leg again. On an exhale, we're going to bring left knee toward right arm across the body. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend. This time, exhale, bring it in. But we're actually going to plant the left foot a little bit behind the hands. Step the right foot forward, but keep the legs crossed. And bring the torso upright. It's kind of a weird one, yeah. So left leg is in front, right leg's behind, all toes point forward. You can experiment with how far side to side and front and back you want your feet to be. Find a stance that feels good for you. We're going to draw left hip back, right hip forward. Keep a micro bend in the knees so you don't hyperextend here. And option 1 is to stay right here. If you're like, ooh, I already feel this, stay here. Option 2 will be to hinge forward, maintaining a long spine. Option 3 is going to be to bring the hands maybe to the front leg. Maybe you have, like me, you have something in front of you that you can kind of lean into. Maybe you bring the hands to the mat if they can reach. Keep a slight hug of the inner thighs together. We do very little in our daily lives that is this range of motion, adduction. And usually that means that it's a little more intense in the body, a little more challenging. One more breath. Soften the knees. Plant the hands again. Uncross the legs. Find your way to down dog. And then we get a rock forward to plank. Lower all the way to your belly. Ah, such a nice place to be in any class when the teacher cues laying on your belly. We're gonna stretch this left arm. So let's extend left arm out to the side, palm face down. Think of palm being in line with the forehead. Glue that hand to the mat. Press into the right hand and roll to the left side of the body. From here, we might plant the right foot, knee towards ceiling. If that feels pretty accessible in the body, if you have really open shoulders, you may even plant the left foot. The right hand can stay on the mat. It can come to the right hip, keeping those shoulders kind of drawn toward each other to further open through this left shoulder. You can have the head rested on the mat, or you can keep it lifted and looking over the right shoulder to extend the stretch into the neck. And just breathe. On your next inhale, we're going to use the breath to inflate the body. Right hand can return to mat, legs can straighten, roll onto the belly. And we're just going to go straight to the other side. So right palm down, in line with forehead. Left hand underneath shoulder. Press to roll to the right side. Maybe the left foot plants. Maybe the right foot plants. Maybe the left hand stays on the mat. Maybe it comes to the hip. Shoulders drawing toward each other. Give yourself just a couple of breaths here to really focus on breathing into that right shoulder, to focus on the slowing of the heart rate. On an inhale, again, we'll unwind, straightening the legs, rolling to the belly. We're not going to go far just yet. Right now, we're going to work on a little bit of back bending, back strengthening specifically. So you can let the hands be resting on the mat. You can have your chin or forehead resting on the mat. We're going to glue the pelvis to the mat. Press into the tops of the feet so much so that the knees lift off of the mat. And keeping the torso down, keeping the pelvis down, we're just going to exhale to lift the legs. And then inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Last one, exhale, lift. Hold here, feel the glutes engaged. Feel the whole leg engaged. And exhale, slowly lower. Now the legs get a break. We're going to move just into the torso. The hands can be palm face down underneath the shoulders, but we're not going to use them. Okay, so we're again going to press into the tops of the feet, lifting the knees. Glue that pelvis to the mat. And then on an inhale this time, we'll lift the torso, the hands come to hover. Exhale, release. Keep pressing that pelvis into the mat, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Last one, inhale, lift. Hold here. Feel the shoulders drawn toward each other on the back. Feel the heart lifting. The chin is neutral. Exhale, slow release. Give yourself a second to relax. Maybe wiggle the hips side to side. Now, if that felt like enough for you, you might choose to lay here in long prostration. If you want to loop it all together, we're going to keep the pelvis down because that's the one part that stays down. Press into the tops of the feet for a moment. But then exhale, lift the legs. Inhale, lift the torso. Maybe reach the arms back by your sides, palms face down. Keep lifting. Feel the strength here. Picture every muscle on the back side of the body evenly contracting to lift up your body. And on an exhale, really softly and gently melt back into the mat. Move the hands beneath the shoulders, knees go wide. We're gonna just press back into child's pose. Let the forehead rest on the mat. Soften the eyes, soften the jaw. Take this moment of rest while it's here. We have that whole fiery set to complete on the other side. Notice how it feels when I say that. Does your body get excited and say, yes, I can't wait to get into this on the other side? Or do you feel some sort of dread at all the work that lies ahead? Don't judge yourself for whatever comes up, just notice it. And on an inhale, we're going to lift the head and rock forward to hands and knees. Slide the hands forward, a hand print, curl the toes under, send your hips back and up, downward facing dog. We have our first transition to the front edge of the mat here. Now, there are many options. You might want to bend the knees and take lots of short hops to the front edge of the mat. That can be kind of fun. You might want to keep the hips low, look forward, and take one hop to the front of the mat. Or you might want to play with stacking hips over shoulders, stepping feet toward each other, rocking shoulders beyond wrists, bending the knees on an inhale, exhale, heel kick the bum. All right, so you can do anything to get to the front. Yes, you can just step. That is okay. If you're enjoying spending some time upside down, then maybe you take a few different hops. If you want to be head up, maybe you get to the front of the mat and lengthen your spine so that your head can be lifted. Right? Honor whatever it is that you're experiencing in your body at this moment. We'll all meet there in just a few seconds. And once you arrive, just soften those knees. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. And exhale those hands to heart center. Because we're going to close with a supine back bend, we're not going to do another standing back bend. So we'll instead just transition straight into the work side. So shift your weight into your left foot. Inhale, lift the right knee up. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten any amount. Inhale, bend. Last one, exhale, straighten. Lower the heel almost to the mat. This is where it gets hard. Inhale here. Exhale, lift any amount. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Two more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Hold or pulse up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend that knee. Bend the left knee. Lift the right heel toward right sit bone. Left or right knee lifts. Uttaragaham. Whatever hand variation you did on the last side, whether your hands are at hips, whether you grab that back ankle, keep thinking of squeezing the heel towards sit bone and lifting the right knee at the same time. Wherever you are, slowly release. Lift the right knee back up. And this is where we have that pistol squat variation. So peace fingers grab around the inside of the big toe. Straighten the leg any amount, not worrying about how straight it goes. Just use that bind to slowly lower the hips, maybe using the hands till we're hovering above the mat, and then lower that right knee down, or that right knee, I don't know what I was saying, lower the hips. Release the fingertips to the sides, lift this left ankle, circle it out. And then we have our last kind of miserable leg lifts. Like, y'all are sticking with this, good for you. I'm kind of putting you through the ringer right now. All right, so straighten that right leg, lower, exhale, lift. Lower, lift, lower, lift. Last one, lower, lift, grab onto the back edge of that leg, roll onto the back. You can straighten the left leg out and just draw the right leg gently in toward the torso. A much more passive version of the range of motion that we just did very actively. Right, your right hip is probably burning a little bit right now. These moments of rest, though, are only so glorious because of all the work that comes first. Now, like we did last time, you can rock up to a seat, playing with using this right leg as kind of a lever to bring yourself up. And then straighten the right leg out on the mat, bend the left knee back up. This is where we're going to try to come to standing and keep the right leg as straight as possible. So use those hands to lift your hips, come up onto your left toe, slide the right heel back, lift that leg up. Standing splits on this side. If you're like me, your standing splits look incredibly different side to side. Right fingers might be planted out further, left hand might grab left ankle or heel. Keep drawing that right leg up, lifting, lifting, lifting. And we're going to slowly lower, plant those toes, crawl all the way to face that right foot. All toes point forward. We're on two parallel tracks, not walking a tightrope here. Bend the left knee, inhale. Straighten both legs any amount, look back, exhale. Two more of those. Inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. Last one, inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. You might step the left foot forward a bit. Angle those toes out 45 degrees. And then we have the same triangle options we did on the last side. So that might mean torso is upright, hands at hips, square those hips, and then hinge forward from the hips. That might mean rounding through the back, letting the hands rest on the front leg, on blocks, on the wall. And the deepest option, left hand inside of right foot. Again, square those hips. Think of scooping that right hip back, left hip comes forward and down. And then inhale, this right arm lifts. Wherever you are, use the breath to explore this shape. Two more breaths. Exhale, release. Bend into this right leg. Plant the hands, step back, plank pose. Option to move through a vinyasa or to maybe find a child's pose for a moment. Once you're in downward facing dog, we'll lift the left leg up. Exhale, knee toward nose or forehead. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. This time we exhale, keep that knee hugged in as we rock forward. Plant that foot down, lower the right knee. Left hand to left knee, right arm lifts. Thumb against index fingernail. Anjaneyasana. Low lunge. Whoa, there is a huge deer in my front yard right now. Fun facts, living in Wyoming. All right, keep dragging left heel back, right knee forward. Let that tail sink straight down. Any arm variation you did last time, if you bent the back knee, then you can bend it again this time, potentially binding it. Begin to gently release whatever shape you're in, hinging the torso forward, curling the right toes under. We're going to lift that knee, crawl halfway to the right. Turn both sets of toes out, bend halfway into the right knee, bring the torso upright. Left leg is straight, anchor that tailbone straight down. Arms out to the side, thumbs and fists bend the right elbow. Look over the left fist. You may even lift the left toes, coming to balance on the heel. Think of sit bones drawing toward each other, right knee angles out. One more breath here. Inhale, rise all the way up. Bend deeply into this left knee, right leg straightens. Remember, only go as low as you can while maintaining that outward direction of the left knee. This isn't a long hold, it's just compensation. Here for 2 breaths. Inhale, rise back up through center. Continue crawling back to the right foot at the front edge of the mat. Lower the left knee, and this is where we bring both hands inside of the right foot, heel toeing it to the outer edge of the mat. And then exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Whichever variation you held, whether straighten or bent, on the other side, hold it again here. And if you pulsated between the two, then do that again. Just keep it even, whatever it was. If you tried the arm balance on the other side, I'll cue it again here. We'll start by sliding the right heel back, shortening the stance. Work the right arm underneath the right leg, planting the hand. I have kind of the curve between my pointer and thumb right behind the heel. Hug that right knee in. Plant the left hand shoulder distance apart. Curl the left toes under. We're gonna send the hips up, step the left knee forward to the back of the left arm, lower the hips. Keep those knees hugging in, those elbows hugging in to point straight back. Inchworm this right foot forward and off to the right till it can maybe lift. And then maybe you hinge forward, hugging left heel towards sit bone for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lower. Wherever you are, plant the hands, curl the left toes under, send this right leg back and up, bending the knee, doing some opening circles in that hip. From here, extend the right leg out in 3-legged down dog. Exhale, knee toward left elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. Last one, exhale, in, but this time we step the right foot forward. Step the left leg forward a bit, but cross the legs. Bring the torso upright. See, it's at least less awkward on the second side. You're like, yes, I know what we're doing. Draw the right hip back, left hip forward. Keep a little micro bend in the knees. And then, again, whatever you did last time, maybe using a prop, a wall, a couch, whatever to rest your hands on in front of you, maybe hinging forward, maybe letting the hands rest on the front shin, or potentially even the floor. This is really our last shape on this side. Everything else we did was symmetrical, back bending and arm stretching. And so we're about to head into our closing set. Give yourself one more breath to just let that sink in. And then soften the knees. We're gonna plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Now to close today, we're going to use pigeon pose. If you know that you would prefer to be on your back for pigeon, then please transition to that now. Otherwise, we'll lift this left leg up on an inhale, and then exhale, bring left knee toward left wrist, ankle toward right wrist. Keep in mind, they're not gonna actually touch. Send the right leg back any amount. Now, usually you see pigeon, like if you look it up online, you're probably gonna see front shin is parallel to the front edge of the mat. You have to have really open hips for that. So know that you can always bring the left heel further in toward the pelvis. Know that to keep the hips square, you can always put something underneath this left hip, maybe a block, a pillow, a rolled up towel, something like that. Check the back toes that they're planted straight down in a straight line. They often want to angle in. And then from here, this isn't a super long hold, but you have the option to either be head up or to relax the torso forward and maybe find a more restorative version of this shape. Wherever you are, soften the eyes, soften the jaw. Know that as we are in our final set, we're getting really close to the end of practice, that time of complete surrender. So we can use this moment here to kind of signal to ourselves that we're slowing down. Wherever you are, on an inhale, begin to press yourself back up. We're going to go straight from external rotation to internal. So roll to the outer edge of your left hip to the point where you can begin to open to the long edge of your mat and then face the back edge of your mat. And what we're going to do is bring the top of the left foot down and scoot the hips right next to it. So you might have to roll the left calf out of the way. This might be really intense already. And if your left knee is hurting at all, then open up this left leg out to the side a little bit more. If it feels like you could go deeper, if you're not feeling much here, bend the right knee up and begin to hinge backward with the torso. You might find a point where it feels good to stop. You might be able to lay the whole way down. If you do lay down, kind of lift the hips and tuck the tail, and then you'll feel deeper opening through the front side of this left hip. If the knee is bent at all, think of kind of reaching gently out of the knee. Hands can be on hips, they can be out to the sides. Just one more breath here. Internal rotation is again one of our more intense ranges of motion, so we're not going to go crazy here. If you're lying down, it always helps me to kind of grab onto my glutes and wiggle my elbows under and then lift up. Straighten the right leg back out. And we're going to go to pigeon on this side. So you can do that by rocking forward, bringing the right leg into pigeon, extending the left leg back. Again, check that the toes are straight. Set up your right leg at whatever angle feels nourishing to your body, whatever allows you to keep square hips. And then again, if you stayed upright or if you hinged forward, do that again. It's this part of class where we can begin to release hold of the breath, letting our inhales and exhales be a little more natural. On an inhale, crawl those hands in. Again, rock to the outer edge of the right hip this time. And we'll just shift to face the front edge of the mat again, coming into our internal rotation on the right side. So whatever variation you did on the other side, set up again. And allow yourself a couple of breaths to just be here. Begin to make your way back up to seated. Straighten both legs out in front of you. Now I'm going to give an option for a back bend here in a moment. Know that this is totally up to you if you want to enter into it. I did promise that we'd go into a wild thing, that we'd flip our dog, and I didn't deliver on that front. So I'm sorry, guys. We just ran out of time. I am going to end us a couple minutes later because we started a couple minutes after the hour. So that being said, if you know that you would like a back bend, you can grab onto the backs of the legs and roll onto your back. If, on the other hand, compression sounds good, you can stay seated and flex your toes back and hinge the torso forward, coming into a forward fold, a seated forward fold here, Paschimottanasana. If you're doing the back bend variation and you're on your back, you can plant those heels beneath the knees. Let the palms be face down on the mat on either side of your hips. And think of pressing evenly into all four corners of each foot. From there, drag the heels back a little bit. You're going to feel your hips begin to hover. And then keep lifting your hips. All four corners of each foot. Heels drag back. Hips lift. This is our bridge pose. You might move in and out of it a couple different times. Just repeating those engagements to yourself. If you know that you are ready to move into wheel pose, if that's part of your practice, if it's something that you've been working toward, then you can plant your hands either side of your ears, fingertips point toward your toes, drag the feet in a little bit more, press into the feet to lift the hips, and then press into the hands to lift the head. From here, you can always rock forward, trying to get the shoulders stacked a little more over the wrists. Wherever you are, you can begin to gently release back to the mat. If you were seated in a forward fold, then simply lower onto your back. We can all draw the knees in toward the chest and give ourselves a little hug while we rock side to side, massaging out the low back. From here, let's hug the right knee in, straighten the left leg out, pull the right knee across the body, stretch this right arm out, look over those fingertips, coming into a supine twist. Maybe closing the eyes, allowing the breath to become heavier. Use an inhale to come back into center, hug both knees in. And then this time, straighten the right leg, draw the left knee across the body, open the left arm to the side. Let the breath be deep and heavy. Inhale, bring the left knee back in, bring the right knee back in. From here, if there's any additional shapes you'd like to take, maybe a finalizing inversion, such as plow pose or shoulder stand, maybe a headstand, or any other inversion sounds really nourishing right now, please feel free to move into that. You might choose to take happy baby, grabbing outside edges of the feet, drawing knees toward armpits. You might choose to move into your finalizing shape of Shavasana, which would be feet about mat's distance apart, shoulders worked underneath the torso, arms out to the sides, palms face up. And work on relaxing through the entirety of the body. These last couple minutes are yours entirely. So use maybe a minute to do any other shapes, any other movement. And then maybe have a minute where you can just really be relaxed. Where you can think of releasing the jaw, relaxing the eyelids, relaxing through the ankles, letting the feet just flop to the sides, and fully releasing control of the breath, letting it come and go at its natural pace, its natural depth. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. And picture yourself just melting into that support, muscle softening away from bone. Begin to gently invite the breath back into the body, deepening the inhales, lengthening the exhales. If you're lying down, you might even reach the arms overhead on an inhale, taking a final full body stretch. Exhaling through the mouth with a sigh or a yawn. We'll begin to make our way to a seat, but take whatever method feels right in getting there. Whether that means rolling to one side and pressing to a seat, or hugging the knees in and rocking along the spine to a seat. Once you arrive, we can inhale, arms out to the sides and up, palms touching overhead. Exhale, thumbs pausing at the forehead, acknowledging this physical body. Thumbs pausing at mouth, acknowledging this breath. And thumbs pausing at heart center, acknowledging that inner intelligence, that intelligence that allows us to discern right from wrong, what might our bodies, our minds, our energy need in any given moment. Might we carry that intelligence with us off of the mat and into all we do? Thumbs can return to forehead as we bow forward gently. The light within me recognizes and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.